Console fanboys. What can you say about them? Well, they're one of those people who doesn't even bother to touch grass. They always go to social media like YouTube and Twitter to try to make an argument that their console is better than other consoles. Which is fine, unless if you aren't a toxic asshole. Like you have the Xbox fanboys that are toxic, and you have the PlayStation fanboys who are literally the worst console fanboys ever, which we will cover that in a different video. And here we have the number one Nintendo fanboys who hates every game that isn't on the Nintendo Switch. His name is Harmon Smith. Every time that this guy makes a video, he always talks shit on every game that isn't on Nintendo with literally the worst arguments ever. Even as a Nintendo fan myself, I always find this sad that he always does this stuff. Like that's all he ever talks about. All games that isn't on Nintendo means that they're bad. Nintendo will always be the dominant race. Like, dude, just shut the fuck up. People can like different games whatever they want. Even if they're not on Nintendo, that doesn't make it bad. People can enjoy Xbox. People can enjoy PlayStation. People can enjoy PC. And let me tell you something. When I was an edgy 14-year-old, I used to do the same shit that you did, Harmon, except that I never make videos. But guess what? I gave all that shit up. Cause why? Because I'm a fan of video games. I love video games. Video games have always been my thing. Okay, with that out of the way, now let's look at one of Harmon's videos. And goddamn, prepare for some bad hot takes. The one video we're looking at today is... oh my god, man. So there is a reason on why I decided to choose this video is because there is a 100% chance that Baldur's Gate 3 might win Game of the Year due to how popular the game is. And look how big the score is on this game compared to Tears of the Kingdom. And this stuff really worries about Mr. Harmon Smith, so yeah, let's get to it. Oh, and I forgot to mention one thing. He thinks the game is woke. Yup.
And no one's gonna make it happen while the fans with a single game.
Shut the fuck up! Can you please not sing and get to the point already?
What a complete joke. What should have been like kind of a glorious moment for Nintendo. You know, the release of Tears of the Kingdom, the objective Game of the Year 2023 has been straight up damage controlled to high heaven all year long since May. Like pre-release, we had to do this thing where oh, Tears of the Kingdom, that's not gonna sell well. That's gonna be a rehash. They had to delay it because they were scared of Elden Ring.
Since when did they say something like that? Since when did they say they were scared of Elden Ring, so they have to delay the game? Why are you making this shit up?
There are so many better games coming out. Games like Forspoken, Final Fantasy 16, Starfield, Armored Core 6.
I mean, yeah, Forspoken was shit, but Final Fantasy 16 is a good game. Lots of people enjoy that game. And yeah, this video was made before Armored Core 6 and Starfield were out. So yeah, moving on.
There were so many people talking so much trash about Tears of the Kingdom.
Who is saying that? Who is actually saying that? Do you have proof of that? Because it sounds like that you're making that stuff up in your head. I mean, people has an opinion. Yeah, there's that, but still.
And then the game comes out and it kind of blows everyone's expectations out of the water. It's one of the best games ever made. It improves on a lot of aspects of Breath of the Wild, and it's a real innovator. It is something that people don't get very often. A genuinely good video game. And of course, as always, when this happens, we've had to see the damage control. People trying to downplay the game, saying it's going to be forgotten, saying it's not all that great. It's not an innovator. It's overrated. That it's just a rehash of the original. They're doing everything they possibly can to downplay Tears of the Kingdom.
Just like you, how you downplay any video game that isn't on Nintendo, that just makes you sound like a fucking hypocrite.
However, over the past couple of months, the games that have come out since then, games like Diablo 4, Street Fighter 6, what else has come out? There have been a handful of releases that have come out and have just been completely stomped by Tears of the Kingdom, right? 18.5 million units sold, right? In less than 2 months. It was it has been phenomenally successful. It's well on its way to outselling Elden Ring, and it will go on, I think, to be a fan favorite for a lot of people. I personally see it as like probably one of my favorite Zelda games ever, purely because of just how unexpectedly great it was. Like it really did surprise me and surprise me with how good it was. And this is a shoe in for Game of the Year, obviously.
Well, no shit, Sherlock. Of course, I do see Tears of the Kingdom winning Game of the Year. After all, it's a sequel to Breath of the Wild that won Game of the Year 2017. Now, before we move on, there's two things I want to say. Number one, I see that you are still mad that Elden Ring won last year's Game Awards. Like, dude, get over it already. But, who am I kidding? He's a Nintendo fanboy, so yeah. And two, when you say Tears of the Kingdom surprised you, do you really expect that game to be bad? Dude, like I said, it's literally a sequel to Breath of the Wild, one of the best Nintendo games ever. I don't want to repeat myself for this.
But right now, we're in this kind of situation where there are a handful of people coming out trying to say that it has competition. Now, there are a lot of examples of this. Like, I've seen people like throw out Hogwarts Legacy as an example of it. I believe it's the only AAA game that's outsold Zelda so far this year, but only because of the license. I've seen people throw out Diablo 4. I've seen people throw out like Starfield, which is laughable to me. Starfield isn't going to do shit. Alan Wake 2 is coming out. Like, there are all these games that are like that people are just trying desperately to pretend can contend for Game of the Year, and it's really not even close. And everyone knows it's not even close. But
Can we please get an explanation on why, Harmon? Can we? Dude, this is the real reason why people makes fun of you. This is why you literally have the worst hot takes ever. You see, Harmon, there's a difference between criticizing a game and talking trash about it. When there's something wrong with the game, like so many mistakes that happen, people criticize it. You, on the other hand, just talk trash about it because why? Oh, they're not on Nintendo. Well, guess what? Who cares? A good game is still going to be a good game, even if they're not on Nintendo. And I know this video came out before Starfield was released, but guess what? Starfield literally has 10 million players. And guess what? This guy still made a video hating on Starfield. Oh my god, dude, the copium.
but as it so happens, like a lot of people are just obsessed over the idea of like not allowing Nintendo to win Game of the Year, right? We saw this with 2020 with New Horizons, where Animal Crossing New Horizons, where like nobody was seriously pushing for that game to win Game of the Year, even though it totally should have.
Okay, first of all, no one's obsessed with the whole not allowing Nintendo to win. Because it's obviously Tears of the Kingdom is going to be part of the Game of the Year contender. And with Baldur's Gate 3 being a huge masterpiece, it probably will be part of the Game of the Year contender. God, how many times do I have to repeat myself in this video? And to be honest with you, Harmon, everybody was expecting Doom Eternal to win Game of the Year. But instead, it was The Last of Us Part 2. But hey, like I said, you're just a Nintendo fanboy.
The Game Awards is an unreliable source of information, right? Like, we shouldn't take anything they say seriously. We shouldn't take anything they do seriously. So going into this, talking about the Game Awards, talking about like what's going to win Game of the Year, like I think we really need to put a fine line in the sand. Like, yeah, like Tears of the Kingdom should win Game of the Year, and it is Game of the Year, but that doesn't necessarily mean that like it's going to win any awards, right? Like, there are all these great games that are going to get passed over, like always, on Nintendo consoles. And like, we're just going to have to like just make fun of the show as we always do.
Then what's the point of making this video? Everything you are saying right now makes no sense.
Nintendo fans have to deal with the fact that PC gamers are trying to pretend that Baldur's Gate 3 has any hope ever about selling Tears of the Kingdom. And it's really interesting seeing their playbook on this because they're citing the Metacritic scores, they're citing like audience sale, they're citing sales numbers, they're citing like how many users it has on Steam. Like they're doing they're talking about how how developers are all getting like extremely like agitated that like, oh no, we can't make a game this good. It's raising people's standards too high.
Okay, now I understand what's your point of the video. You're just upset that people enjoys Baldur's Gate 3 more compared to Tears of the Kingdom. Like, dude, the game is a multi-plat game. People enjoys those kind of games unless if it's good. But not to mention that we finally made it to the Baldur's Gate 3 part. How long have we been talking about in this video?
Like Baldur's Gate 3 has all the markings of like the typical Last of Us Part 2 style like media blitz campaign. You know, the Cyberpunk 2077 like media blitz campaign where a bunch of people come out and try to say this game is game of the year. It's one of the best games ever made, period. And if you disagree, you're just a hater. You hate it because it's so popular, right? Like if The Last of Us Part 2 had not been leaked ahead of time and we knew about what Naughty Dog was trying to pull, what Neil Druckmann was doing, how the gaming media was going to spider in this, like it's possible that we might have actually like not gone into The Last of Us Part 2 like as informed as we actually were. And like that information is what led to the game ultimately bombing.
Have you even done your research? The Last of Us Part 2 did not bomb. It sold 10 million units. Even though I don't like The Last of Us Part 2, it does kind of have a good story. Not the best, but yeah. And as for Cyberpunk, the game actually launched completed. Sure, it had a rough start, but thanks to Edge Runners and the latest updates, people enjoyed the game. But Baldur's Gate 3, even though I haven't played the game, I've seen gameplay of it. It looks good. And there's nothing wrong with people loving or praising the game because they're having fun with it.
Bombing and leading to the game like leading to massive backlash right out of the gate, like in spite of all the damage control, in spite of all like the narrative pushing from the media. And like Baldur's Gate 3 is an interesting case where it's the same exact thing, right? You know, an extremely degenerate like left-wing like SJW product, you know, an extremely woke product that is being pushed by game journalists, right? Like this is like the equivalent of Gone Home, you know, No Man's Sky, like No Man's Sky is a good example. Stuff like Braid, you know, stuff like, you know, Binding of Isaac, like, you know, absolute trash that's propped up by the industry for arbitrary reasons. Psychonauts 2, I think, is a really good example of a game that was like very heavily promoted, very well received by critics, but was just complete trash, like objectively. Baldur's Gate 3 is The Last of Us Part 2.
You shut the fuck up! You shut the fuck up!
Okay, you know what? Fuck this. This is too painful to watch. I can't take it anymore. I'm done. I am so done with this. So yeah, that's Harmon Smith, the Nintendo fanboy who comes up with the worst arguments and the worst takes ever. And oh my god, dude, I just can't take this anymore. This guy's reminding me of Synthetic Man. Things I will mention in that video is obviously he keeps claiming that Baldur's Gate 3 is woke and repeats the same argument over and over, and yeah, I'm just done with this video. But remember, I still love Tears of the Kingdom and I do hope it win Game of the Year, but if it doesn't, then oh well. So yeah, see ya, bye.